Hello everybody and welcome back to ESSA Round of 16. We are here for our final match, and it is a winner's bracket match between aimbotcone and Din, our 7th versus 10 seed, followed shortly by our map pool showcase in about an hour. I'm iFlame, joined today by the lovely T1G at 11 a.m. How are you doing?
Yo, I am awesome. I have never been more glad to work from home because it's 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, and here we are casting some Osu. This should be a pretty fun one. I don't know if people have been watching solo play, but aimbotcone has kind of been going off today. Just set his new personal #1 play with a 1300 PP score on Freedom Dive Slider, the Freedom Dive diff of Slider. So dude is ready to go. Ranked up to his, I think, new personal best of rank 10 in the world. So aimbotcone on a heater today. We'll have to see what Din can do to combat that. Winner of this gets to go on to face Window Life in the quarterfinals this weekend. Loser drops down to face AKNZX in the losers round 2. So should be a pretty good one. You know, those are good matchups to come and a good matchup to get them there.
Yeah, I believe I saw. Also got the #1 global score on gate openers right before the match as well, a few hours ago. So aimbotcone certainly on point right now. Going to be going for second ban, which I think means second protect as well, and second pick for Din. This pool is, as you can imagine, a whole lot of tapping. There are some more kind of pure speed picks, some more aim control focused picks as well.
Yeah, very kind of curious to see what kind of picks we end up getting in this match. I feel like aimbotcone probably wants the raw tapping stuff, but that's kind of what everybody in this tournament wants as well. I feel like, generally speaking, almost anything in these pools with the players in this tournament is going to be pretty contested. But Din protecting S15. It is a little hard to read. S15, which is Michi. That's the Dada DT pick of the pool, so that will be protected. He's gonna get that one to stick around. Dada, of course, pretty well known for his like DT tapping maps.
Yeah, it's a pretty finger control heavy one, as it's S5 protected for aimbotcone, my love. Another one of those DT picks. But this time around, much more focused on the slider attack type of speed.
Yeah, that one's a real easy Devious Panda collab diff, so I think you kind of know what you're getting into just off the back of that alone. My love with Billiam Moto involved in that. It's like, that just screams slider attack instantly. We got an S8 ban from Din, so that is going to be Swamp Witch, which is the DT of the Corrupt Insane diff, which is super high BPM. It's 315 BPM, I believe that's, if not the fastest, certainly one of the fastest in terms of BPM in the pool.
Yeah, it is the highest BPM, and that map is just pure speed, but of course much higher than your usual speed map. Finally, we've got S3 banned out here, going to be World End. So seems like doesn't really want to play some of those kind of more finger control heavy picks, with Din protecting a bit of a finger control focused map. The S3 there now banned out, having a decent amount of finger control patterns as well.
Go in another ban. Wonder if this is just going to be another one of the raw high BPM picks after the S8 ban. Maybe. What would the next one be? Maybe like S9, to be honest. Pupa is 303 BPM, so if he doesn't like the high BPM stuff, that could be another option.
Yeah, that's an incredibly fast pick. Very short as well, only about 1:50. And there's no super long bursts in that one, so I think even though it is 303, it might be a little bit more manageable. Bans out the S13 instead. It's going to be your kind of more rhythmic speed pick.
I have a silly question, and I don't know that anybody knows the answer to this, but why is the pool not just like ordered by Nomad and then the Hard Rock and then DTs? I don't actually know what the pool organization strategy is here. It's like Nomad, then a DT, then a Nomad, then a couple DTs, then another Nomad, you know?
I'm not sure. There's some like category, but I don't know what it is, because like, you know, this week we have a Hard Rock, last week we had no Hard Rocks. The number of Nomads and DTs is not necessarily consistent either, so I don't know what the categories are, but just some kind of skill set balance. And S12 Stand out by aimbotcone. It's gonna be kind of your fast no mod too, Matt.
Love fast no mod. Who doesn't love fast no mod?
There's nothing I love more than fast no mod.
So I'm gonna need like a recap. Where's the rep sheet? I need to go back through all this. We have S3 and 3 and 12 banned. What, okay. Am I going crazy? Banned by red team, but it's in blue text, and banned by blue team, but it's in red text.
Oh no!
I just came to this realization.
That's so cursed. I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out, but now I can't look at it anymore.
It's so doomed, bro. Alright, it's gonna be S4 as the first pick coming out for aimbotcone. That is going to be codename Foxtrot. The real lazy, pretty speedy. This is gonna be it's like a speedy tech, right?
Yeah, quite a bit of aim control to it as well, mixed in with that speed tech. There are some very, very tricky, uncomfortable patterns at least. It's not a super comfortable map in terms of patterning. I think that's where a lot of the challenge comes from. It is a 250 BPM, which is fairly reasonable, at least for these players. Certainly not for your average player, but I remember it is accuracy based, so aimbotcone finding an early miss is going to drop that accuracy quite a bit, by only down by 1.5% is not crazy at the moment.
Shoutouts, of course, as always, to this custom client that allows for live display of accuracy at the bottom as the win condition. Very nice for everybody involved. And this is staying pretty close so far. It's only a couple hundred separating the players. Another drop from aimbotcone. Lead will go over to Din, who generally is a player that I feel I would expect, to have pretty good accuracy on stuff like this. Usually I've seen him perform pretty well on slightly more awkward types of maps, so we'll see if that holds up. Just a couple hundred still separating. It's 0.4%. That's all the difference, quarter of the way through.
Yeah, Din actually, I believe, beating out Taquito in last week's match 5-2 was a pretty impressive performance, but both players, like you said, keeping the accuracy incredibly close, and we have quite a lot of map to go. I'd say this map is relatively consistent in terms of difficulty, as aimbotcone finds a pretty big accuracy drop. They're both in the same boat here, that's all.
They're both in the same boat. I don't even want to talk about it. There is a bit of a miss from Din, though. That's going to drop his accuracy all the way down to 98. He falls behind now with that chain miss, and then another couple of hundreds to follow. So that'll be aimbotcone taking the lead by about 0.6% at the halfway mark. Still, as you said, a lot of map to go as the slider break does come in for aimbotcone. But he will maintain the advantage for the moment. This one's still staying very close between these two, though. Din gave a lot over with those couple of misses and another miss there. But it is nonetheless staying quite tight.
Yeah, the misses on the side of Din drop the accuracy so much more than the hundreds on the side of aimbotcone, because even just finding slider breaks over and over again for aimbotcone, it's not going to drop the accuracy quite as far as the misses, but 0.4% the spinners. Aimbotcone finds yet another slider break, and it is 0.5 at the break, 1/4 of the map to go. Anybody's game still.
And by that you mean 0.05.
0.05.
Closer than 0.5. And there's the lead going over to Din as aimbotcone finds yet another break. The very last quarter of the map. It's a chain 100 from Din. Several 100s back to back there. Lead goes back over to aimbotcone coming into the ending. This is still anyone's game with just a very small amount of map left.
Yeah, there are some tricky patterns in the end. We've seen them find lots of misses on these patterns before. aimbotcone dropping in 100 there. Din recovering accuracy pretty nicely, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It will come down to these last patterns. There's a miss from Din, and I think that's going to be it unless we see a catastrophic ending from aimbotcone. But it is going to be aimbotcone taking the first map.
That was a battle the entire way through, man. It's 2100s to 18. So Din, advantage there, but you just look at the 11 misses against only one miss for aimbotcone, as we discussed kind of throughout. That is a big difference maker. Misses, of course, will drop your act down pretty heavily. aimbotcone saying aim map. Well, you should like that, right? Aim is right in your name, brother. And he did, in fact, as he takes his first pick in a 1-0 lead. as we go straight quickly into S15 for Din's first pick. That is going to be Amici, which that was his protect, if I remember correctly.
And it's going to be your finger control pick. There are quite a few finger control picks, but we've seen so far Din picking finger control, aimbotcone banning out some of those more finger control focused maps. So I feel like that's the trend we're leaning towards here, but we'll see if that continues later into the match.
Yeah, so early on, you're only, not a lot to go off of yet, but man, both players ready up instantly, so no time to talk, it's time to play Osu.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, that's the best thing about 1v1s, right? It's very quick. Everything happens in a hurry. And we'll see how this one goes, how the finger control kind of plays out for these guys. 270 BPM, so still pretty high BPM, only a minute and 56, so just a bit shorter. We will see how this one goes. Din looking to defend his own protect in his first pick, starting off with a pretty sizable advantage, 3% accuracy lead as he holds his full combo through the first quarter of the map as aimbotcone struggling a little bit in comparison.
Yeah, finding 4 misses there on this early section. And this is the kind of map that with how much finger control there is, it is really tough to keep up the accuracy if you're not comfortable, and this is the kind of map you expect to see bigger accuracy differences on as the accuracy is just generally lower across the board, but didn't continue to hold both the combo and the accuracy, whereas aimbotcone finds yet another miss as well as a few hundreds, and it's now 6%, almost 7% accuracy difference here.
Yeah, Din is just looking a lot more comfortable on every aspect of this map, whether it's the tapping or the aim or the finger control. He has got everything that he needs on this pick. That lead is, it's more or less insurmountable, right? He would have to pretty much just stop playing in order for his act to drop another 8% to give aimbotcone a chance in this one. Din looking really comfortable, and you can see why he protected this with his finger control looking as good as it does here. Very, very impressive stuff from Din.
Din is on track for a very solid, 98% potentially FC. The FC, of course, doesn't actually matter in terms of the match points, but it's always cool to see anyways.
Just the last section to come here. Needs to hold on through this last little bit of finger control, these last slightly awkward slider patterns in order to finish the FC off.
Yeah,
and there's a
ending.
Those quick double triple patterns, man. The finger control just fell off just the tiniest bit at the end. Will not be an FC for Din, but it will be a 0.1 nonetheless. 6% nearly accuracy lead for him. And that is a dominant first pick for Din to tie things up 1-1.
Yeah, that is very impressive accuracy. Easily one of the best S15 scores we have seen all weekend. It is aimbotcone though, with the next pick, has a chance to bring it back.
And he is going to instantly pick S1. That is gate openers. We did talk beforehand about his score on this in solo play. Just set the #1 score on this map with a 99.6 accuracy full combo. So you could say he is prepared for this pick.
Yeah, this one is pretty aim heavy, especially in the first half. And aim is in the name after all, but we'll see how it goes. And the second half of this map is much more stream heavy, and that's where I think we're gonna tend to see quite a few more accuracy drops, because if you start one stream a little bit too early or a little bit too late, it's very easy to drop 100s on the entire stream and just absolutely kill your accuracy.
Have to find out how the players are gonna feel as we get into, I guess, a little bit of a different skill set, right? We're kind of switching things up. We go from, kind of speedy bursts to the kind of finger control heavy into something a little more stamina gated. This is 2500 max combo for those playing along at home. So it is note dense to say the very least. And the way we are gonna go,
aimbotcone off to the early lead this time around. We haven't seen any misses quite yet. Even misses on these jump sections could affect the accuracy quite a bit if you start to find a few of them. But in terms of speed, both players looking very comfortable so far. We're not seeing any hundreds from either player on the burst for the most part. And aimbotcone above 99. Din unfortunately has dropped below 98, but should recover back up to 98 on this slower section. And we are getting to some of the longer streams. They really start to pick up after the halfway point of the map. And so it should be a relatively even start, I would imagine. I think it was either one slider break, one miss from Din at some point, but keeping the accuracy up here and keeping it competitive at least for now. Miss on the square is not going to help though.
No, especially not right back into this section. I mean, the score obviously not going to be affected by it, but just the mental not exactly where you'd like it to be when you've dropped right before the map gets harder again. And several hundreds dropped at the beginning of this section for Din as well. Meanwhile, aimbotcone just continues to shred. 1150 plus combo, still holding above 99.3 now accuracy, doing quite well for himself. Really haven't seen any considerable amount of hundreds dropped from aimbotcone, as you would expect from a player who is clearly very comfortable with this pick. 240 BPM is just the comfy range for him, it would seem. And making it through the triples, making it through the kick sliders, and making it to the break with 99.44 AC and still holding the FC into the second half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big drop from aimbotcone, but it's not going to be massive. Still going to stay about 1% ahead, and Din has recovered nicely, but just continues to find a single 100 here and there on a lot of these patterns, and that's all it takes. You know, they really add up over the course of the match, and on the other side, aimbotcone not finding those same 100s, and with a quarter of the map to go, it's definitely not over, as we do have, I believe, one more stringy section, but it's not looking good for Din.
No, indeed it is not. One full percentage behind, a quarter of the map to go. And as you said, the way it's been going for Din with just finding those hundreds here and there in a way that aimbotcone really hasn't been, it just kind of keeps him from being able to make a comeback. You know, another 100 there in the slower section, in the single taps, another 100 there, right before the map gets hard again into the ending. And there's a bit of an act drop again from Din. Went below 98 for a second, and that should probably be enough for aimbotcone to feel more than comfortable. Just the last section to come, even with the slider break, really will not matter all that much. Another very solid act play. The more raw mechanics test here for aimbotcone, right, working out very well for him, kind of the same way his first pick did. Din, not quite as strong perhaps on just the pure tapping, needs the help of the more finger control-y and technical aspects of some of these picks, I think, based on the way the first couple maps have gone here. And that's a really nice play for aimbotcone, 99.3.
Such impressive act. I mean, we saw what he could do on the map. Currently has the #1 global spot on the leaderboard, but it's interesting that in this kind of a format, slider breaks are relatively inconsequential because for the most part, they tend to be in isolation, right? Whereas if you're missing on a stream or a jump section, oftentimes you're either missing or finding 100s on a big part of that section, and that's going to be a much bigger accuracy drop than an isolated slider break.
Yeah, I feel like you could, like you said, I mean, you could just get away with slider breaks much more easily, I guess. And that was kind of what aimbotcone did there on that pick. Just got away with a bunch of slider breaks instead of 100s and 50s. Neither player really had very many misses, but that is all it really takes. Next pick over to Din. We're going to go S10.
It's a 2009 map.
Yeah, this is a DJ Pop map from a very long time ago, a whole different era.
See,
he's so like he is kind of going with the more non-traditional, like the not so raw mechanics maps.
Yeah, see, there's been a lot of debate, you know, about whether farm jump maps should be ranked more. My hot take is that we need to rank more 2009 maps.
Give them to rank at this point, though.
That's true. Someone needs to map more 2009 maps. I guess
isn't that what Bloxy does? Isn't that like Bloxy's whole shtick?
It is.
It's just mapping 2009 grid snap.
It's pretty great.
That's the whole thing there. But in we go. We'll see how this pick goes for Din. He looked very strong on his own first pick, so we'll see if the second pick works out just as well.
Yeah, on a map like this, I feel like in terms of the speed, it should be relatively comfortable, and you know, just in terms of tapping, it is how awkward some of these patterns are. You know, very linear, they're very sharp kind of angles in a lot of these bursts, and keeping that up at this speed can be very tricky. We see a 50 there dropped from Din, but a mistraded back from aimbotcone is going to drop the accuracy a little bit. ahead by about 1%, down to 0.5 with that miss. Seems big swings in accuracy still this early on in the map. And as we get later into the map, right, every individual miss is going to affect the accuracy less and less, but Din continues to catch up to aimbotcone, and things are incredibly close once again, 0.4 the difference, and another drop from aimbotcone. Now it's Din in the lead.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, when the combo is just not that high and we're not that far in as of yet, it's not a very long map at all. Every drop counts just a little bit more, and there's a slider break from aimbotcone, though he did take the accuracy lead back, couple 100s from Din, so we'll see what happens. It is neck and neck, virtually dead even here in terms of accuracy as we approach the 2/3 mark. Every 100 counts. Any slider break will count. Any miss will be horrific because this is just dead even. And there's the break from aimbotcone. And like I said, it goes straight over with a couple hundreds followed. Din takes the lead by 0.5% just like that, just on one miss and maybe 200s following it.
Yeah, and there are, I'd say, one or two very tricky. This is the big burst section that has caught a lot of players out, but both of them absolutely nailing it so far. I don't think I've seen 100 from either player on that section. That is absurd. They recovered so much accuracy there, but Din coming out ahead. There is one more tricky stream here, and both players hit it again. Din just needs to hold on to this ending.
Yeah, that section was brutal for aimbotcone. Dropped a bunch of hundreds on that kind of awkward slider section. Yeah, and that gave Din almost a full % act lead, and that should be enough for him. And there's another couple. Oh, aimbotcone just sent it on that ending. All right, well, if it wasn't over already going into that last 6-note burst or whatever, it certainly ended quickly there. Din with the S rank, 2400s. Pretty well done, 98.26 accuracy, very, very solid. aimbotcone would have been a lot closer. I mean, that ending kind of inted his accuracy a little bit, but up until that point, they were pretty dead even. But it was not meant to be, and 4 maps in, yet to see a breakpoint, yet to really see anything approaching a breakpoint. And aimbotcone going to go into his own protect here. It's going to be My Love, the DT pick in S5.
Yeah,
trying to pull this one out.
At least for the start of this map, this one is much more slider tech focused. Of course, as with every map, you're going to have your fast burst mixed in there. But of course, notably with Scorby 2, you do have to worry about the slider ends now, which is something you don't normally have to worry about in Scorby 1. I think at this level especially, every tournament player is well adjusted to that difference by now. But the second half of this map, much more finger control heavy, and so I think we're going to see some much bigger accuracy drops in the second half of the map compared to the first. But you know, with how easy it is to find 100s on a lot of these slider tech patterns in Scorby 2, we could see bigger accuracy drops on the first half as well. It's certainly possible.
And one thing that I'm interested by as well is the first few picks. You know, aimbotcone has felt like the stronger player on the more raw tapping stuff, whereas Din has felt like the stronger player on the more gimmick tapping, you know, the finger control and kind of awkward aim that he had picked. So I'm curious to see if that is going to continue, but this one's starting off quite well for aimbotcone, up 4 or 5% in the early stages. But like you said, there's so many places in this to drop accuracy with these slider tech being the way it is with V2, so I would expect to see a decent amount of act drops from both players on a map like this one. Din at 94, aimbotcone just a bit below 97 for the most part.
Yeah, and Din running the comfort hidden as well, because the score multiplier doesn't matter. Hidden is purely for comfort in this tournament. It's optional all mass, but not working out so far. Din has closed the accuracy difference quite a bit, but does find a miss as well as a couple more 100s there. aimbotcone trading back a few 100s as well. Going to keep this at about 2% difference. We're getting into the more finger control heavy section.
It's kind of consistent in terms of the act difference between these two thus far. It's been, you know, at or around 2%, give or take. See what the second half of the map has in store, though. As you said, plenty of room for accuracy drops on some of these finger control patterns. And a couple hundreds, aimbotcone with a couple hundreds as well, so still just 3%. Gonna feel pretty all right, I think, for aimbotcone. 97.7 act, you know, or thereabouts, is quite strong on this.
Yeah, it's a slider break for aimbotcone, but not much else. Doesn't find any further 100s on top of it. And That's a big drop from
Oh.
Dan. I think that's probably going to seal it here. Now down by 4%. Aimbot cone. I mean, we saw a bit of a fall apart at the end of the last map. It could happen again, but even then, I don't think would be the difference of 4% accuracy. Does drop a 100 and a slider break, but Din trades a miss right back. Is going to even it out, and this pick is going to aimbot cone.
Yeah, this one was just aimbotcone in the lead the entire way. He started off with an accuracy lead in the first section of the map and has just held onto it the entire way, 3-4% most of this map. Din just never able to get quite as comfortable with the rhythms of that one as he may have liked. Just one miss there for aimbotcone plus a couple slider breaks. Doing quite well for himself with a 97.13 AC. I think we've seen a couple 99s on this, but that's from like some inhuman performances. I think 97 is pretty good for, you know, mere mortals. But still, no breakpoints and nothing approaching a breakpoint. Both players have really had no entry into their opponent's picks through the first 5 maps.
No, and it's going to be a big turning point if either player can find a breakpoint at some point in this match. And of course, as we get later into the match, the picks become less clear. We are much more likely to find a breakpoint, as opposed to early on where both players have their strong picks, they have their protects, and they know exactly what they want to be picking. But it is up to Din to find the next pick, and has been quite confident on his picks so far, has been winning them decisively. But we'll see what he wants to go for. Curious if he wants to opt into something more aim control focused, which is something we've not really seen so far in this match. We tend to see a lot more tech focused, a lot more, you know, pure speed focused picks. So we'll see.
This is the longest I think either player has taken on a pick. So, you know, he's been getting through those first 2 picks of his own, and now needing a little bit more time to decide where he might want to go next. I
mean,
don't
there
know what I
is
like here.
DJ Mag top rankers, which could be an interesting pick.
That's techy though, right? Wouldn't that be
Very
kind of like what we
techy,
just saw? I mean, aimbotcone looked super good on my love. But it is going to be that anyway. It's S6, so good call there.
Oh yeah, it is. You know, definitely very tacky. But I think we saw towards the middle of that last map, Din was nearly able to bring the accuracy back, and then just kind of had a rough time with that super finger control heavy ending. Whereas this map is much more, like you said, slider tech focused, and doesn't really have that same finger control speed test at the end. And so I think Din will feel a little bit better about that. It is slightly faster at 255 BPM rather than 250, but it's going to be relatively similar to the My Love pick.
So we're going to kind of go back to back. You can start 5 GLA chat. We are going to kind of go back to back with some slider tech types of picks. This one reasonably long, right? This is 3 minutes even after DT. This is a 5-minute long map normally. Of course, everybody is pretty familiar with the top diff. But we drop down, we add in double time, and we'll see how the players fare. Gonna have some, of course, rhythm changes, gonna have some finger control, gonna have a little bit of aim control, some slider tech aspects as well. And, no, aimbotcone looked really good on My Love. We'll see if he can keep that up and maybe plot a break point here, or the other direction. Maybe Din, you know, kind of finds something he's a little more comfortable with and continues the trend of these players just looking really good on their own maps.
Yeah, and about a quarter of the way into the map, we are going to see some longer bursts, and I want to see if either player drops a bunch of hundreds on those, because it's very easy to get full 100s on any of those bursts. But looking good so far. Din does find a few 100s as well as a slider break. Both players are going to stay above 99 for now, and hitting some of these longer bursts, but we'll see if they can hit the ones coming up here.
It's so far so good, more or less, in the act department at least. As you saw, Din did find the slider break, but not really going to affect the accuracy too much. And here we go into some of these slightly longer and more constant bursts in this section. Both players just a couple hundreds here and there. aimbotcone a few more in the lead. Will go over to Din, but it's only by a small margin. It's only a couple hundreds. As you see, 100 drops it back down. There's a break from aimbotcone, but still really not much separating them. It's still only a couple hundreds. players looking more or less comfortable throughout this section as we near the halfway mark. It is neck and neck, just 0.2% accuracy separating them. And there's a break from Din. Aimbotcone, though, sends it right back over. But look at that. I mean, 98.94, 98.99. It's dead even.
Yeah, and Din found a couple hundreds as well. The last quarter of this map, in my opinion, is the hardest by far. There's some absolutely brutal patterns into the ending, and there's so much potential for not only big accuracy drops, but big chain misses into the ending as well, as aimbotcone does drop 100, but traded back has been getting a couple 100s of their own. He's going to be slightly behind for now. Another 100 there. Who can nail these patterns?
Answer appears to be both of them. It's going to be a couple hundreds from aimbotcone, but a couple of misses and a couple hundreds from Din. And that accuracy now up by 0.3% for aimbotcone as he continues to just nail these sections. Slightly awkward doubles, slightly awkward, kind of not perfectly stacked bursts. And he makes it through, but it's only 0.1% as a couple hundreds come in, and Din holds the accuracy up. This is going to be dead even still coming into the last quarter of the map. This is so close.
It's anybody's game. The accuracy flips back over in favor of Din, but that's a big miss from Din. It will go back over slightly in favor of aimbotcone. It is all going to come down to this ending as Din, that's a lot of 100s. You cannot afford that at this point in the map. A couple traded back by aimbotcone, but will it be enough? It's 0.6 now the difference into the last pattern of this map. No, Din misses the ending.
That looks to have just lost him this map, unfortunately. Those breaks right near the ending on one of the last kind of tricky little aim control patterns. And aimbotcone is going to put the nail in the coffin there. The first break point of this match with an S rank. Obviously several slider breaks, but still no misses for aimbotcone. And that one was unbelievably close through about 99.5% of the map. Unfortunate for Din, just those couple of breaks at the very end made all the difference.
Yeah, and I mean, I mentioned earlier how a lot of the slider breaks can be pretty inconsequential, but on that map with so many sliders, they really started to add up as Din was finding a ton of slider breaks, and they are still 50s, which are going to hurt a lot more than the 100s, and that, along with those 3 misses at the end, cost Din the first break point here. And now, aimbotcone going for a very quick S2 pick. It's going to be Carving Thine Kingdom. This is a very, very dense pick. There are just some crazy dense bursts on this map. It is 170 BPM, although I know it's not mapped to 170 BPM. Be a little slow for this kind of a tournament.
I don't know about the whole 170 thing, but what does this actually play as? Is it like
I want to say I don't know. I might be doing my math wrong, so someone can correct me. I was thinking it was either 240 or 250, something like that.
It'd be 255 if it's like 1.5, but I'm not positive. Or
believe
well, no, it'd be 1.5. It'd be. Actually, I don't even know what it would be.
Guys, it's too early for math. Someone in the chat can do the math for us.
Either way, it's not actually played as 170. That's all you need to know.
Yes. Map fast, TLDR.
Yeah. This is going to be kind of aimbotcone continuing with the same style of picks that he's been opting into throughout this map with just kind of the, well, I mean, excluding My Love, but 3 out of his 4 picks now will be just kind of the raw tapping stuff.
Yeah, and we do have a bit of a, 1/3 section. Like, this is actually 170 BPM, and we do see aimbotcone dropping. Never mind, it's been dropping a little bit more accuracy. And now we get into these bursts that are some amount of BPM higher than 170. That is a massive drop from Din. Found 100s on that entire burst, down to 96, 97 accuracy. Aimbotcone still up at 99, but you see how quickly the accuracy can go over, as there are a couple more space bursts to watch out for as well that MDC get 100s on, but it is these ones that you have to aim very, very carefully that you have to watch out for. Good recovery from Din though, getting back up to 98%.
Yeah, dropped down to 96, but he's been recovering ever since then. There's a slider break from aimbotcone, not going to be the end of the world, still over 99, still looking super strong on these types of picks, as we saw on gate openers a bit ago. Din, this recovery is definitely starting to take hold. as the accuracy difference is back up to only 0.6%.
Yeah, and I mean, how close it is just goes to show how important every single pattern is. Din really only made a mistake on a single burst, and so far, yeah, that is the entire score difference in this map. Both players trading 100s back and forth pretty evenly so far, as Din back up to 99 now. Very impressive recovery, but unfortunately, aimbotcone not making any major mistakes, does find yet another slider break, but still going to be at 99.4, and you know, aimbotcone, similar to Din last map, has already found, I think, 2 or 3 slider breaks, and while they're not necessarily the end of the world by themselves, they really do start to add up if you find that many 50s.
Yeah, this has just been steady for a bit of time now, right? 0.6 to 0.4, somewhere in that range. Din doing everything he can. He's holding the accuracy up. He is back over 99% now for the first time, I think, since the very start, right? But aimbotcone just not making the mistakes. As you said, hasn't had those big drops in accuracy or big misses that would allow Din to get back into this one. Holding steady at 99.3 to 99.4 all the way through. That is going to be the consolidated break point for aimbotcone. Well done on another one of these types of maps from him. That gives him the 5-2 lead as well, so it's match points the rest of the way through for aimbotcone. Din's going to need to win 3 points in a row just to force a tiebreaker, which that's a tough task. I think aimbotcone, the accuracy looking pretty strong today.
Yeah, and even though it didn't necessarily feel like it, you know, aimbotcone was in the lead for the entirety of that map. It was a lot closer than it felt. It really did come down to that singular mistake from Din on that burst, getting a full burst worth of 100s, and I think that was really the difference maker. Otherwise, would have been very even. And a very quick S11 pick from Din. It is a bit of a gamble, in Din's own words, and of course, it is going to be speed slider tech, I would say.
We love speed slider attack. Say that 5 times fast.
Speed slider tech? No, I won't say it 5 times. It's been... I was going to, and I was like, wait, I won't do that to the stream.
Yeah, I think that's okay. He said gamble? Where's gamble DT? CS9. Who says no? Gamble DT.
I mean,
Anyway.
I certainly wouldn't. The players might have some complaints.
Anyway, in we go. Din trying to keep himself alive in the winner's bracket for at least one more pick. Force aimbotcone to close this out on his own selection. And it's starting off well for Din. 6% up in the intro alone, as he is, again, able to hold the accuracy up much higher than aimbotcone on something quite so finger control-y.
Yeah, Din has been incredibly consistent on a lot of these slider patterns, whereas aimbotcone, most of the hundreds have actually been on these sliders, potentially not timing the slider ends properly, as well as, you know, some of those triples and doubles right before the sliders. Din does find a couple drops, a few 50s there, down to 96, but aimbotcone finds a miss as well as many 100s, down to 90% now, and we'll recover a little bit, but it is a massive advantage for Din right now, and this gamble looks like it's going to pay off so far.
Yeah, his parlay is hitting on this one. This is working out quite well for Din. Honestly, based on the way the earlier picks kind of went, I'm not too surprised. We saw how good he looked on Michi, for instance, right? And this has some, you know, there's some aspects kind of in common with that finger control slider patterning. So keeping things consistent, I suppose, with that skill set. And that's 4% win. So Din is going to ask the question of aimbotcone by defending his own pick. Down match point.
Yep. Now, see, this one might be at a bit of a reach, but I'm wondering if we ever see something like an S7 from aimbotcone. It's almost a fast aim kind of map, but we'll have to see.
Did we get an was S9 wasn't touched, right? So S9 is available, which is just like 300 BPM, super fast bursts. I could see a world. Nope, it's gonna be S14 though. So it's gonna be Little Princess, and this is only 246 BPM. This is like one of the slower maps in the pool. It's a lot about stamina with there is a little bit of a slider component to this, but it's just a lot about like lower BPM compared to some of this stuff. Lower BPM stamina. I
Yeah, it
say
really
lower
is.
BPM, but it's really not that much lower.
No, for this tournament, it's a little bit lower. But yeah, it really is going to be that stamina test, like you said. There's definitely a bit of an aim control element as well. You know, you see a lot of the maps that just have incredibly dense, burst. But this one is quite a bit more spaced out. So you do have to properly aim the streams on this one. And it is, I believe, somewhat decently long as well. It's it's only going to be 217. We'll see if Din can hold on for yet another map, or if this spells the end of this match, as both players looking good early on. It was Din with a very slight accuracy drop, but nothing massive, still up at 99.5. Aimbotcone looking very impressive so far, but don't expect that to hold for too much longer.
Yeah, the first half and second half of this map are really two completely different things.
Yeah.
The streams just get much longer, and the flow aim component of them gets much more challenging as you get into the back half of this pick. So, however good you might look through the first 200 combo, like this is just free. And then it starts to pick up. And now we're going to start to see how the players actually feel in this pick.
Yes, we are, and so far, aimbotcone with the early struggles finds the miss, finds the 50 as well, and that's all it takes to put Din back in the lead by about, once again, 0.05%, and here we go, getting to some of the tougher streams now. We'll see towards the end how that stamina holds up. Din finds 5 100s there to the single 100 of aimbotcone, and down to 98.4 because this map is shorter. Every 100 matters so much more. Din finds the chain of hundreds and the miss as well. And it is looking dire right now, but there is still some map to be played. We could still see a big chain miss from aimbotcone, but Din needs to hold on, needs to recover. That's a big drop.
Yeah, I think unfortunately Din may have signed his own death warrant with that chain of accuracy drops, because he is now over a full percentage behind, which means in some of the most difficult portions of the map, he needs to somehow either have aimbotcone just fall apart, or he needs to find a way to make up over 1% accuracy, and I don't know that that's going to be too possible with what's left.
Yeah, I think aimbotcone at this point would have to miss the entirety of a pattern, but it is unfortunately Din who continues to find the misses, the hidden not working out this time around, and aimbotcone does find a miss into the ending, but is only one, unfortunately. We need to see at least a few more. There's a couple more drops from aimbotcone. Could it go back over? The accuracy lead is dropping massively. With a few more misses, a massive drop into the ending, and Din takes the point right at the end. What a comeback from Din.
Wow, Din holds on, and aimbotcone unfortunately just fell a little bit to pieces there at the very end, and the match goes on. A somewhat shocking turn of events for how difficult a comeback looked on that pick, but Din held steady when he needed to, and now he just needs to win his own last pick to force a tiebreaker. And aimbotcone going to be maybe back on his heels a little bit after what just happened.
Wow, what a map. It was looking so rough for Din, but I mean, with accuracy, all it takes is a few pattern misses in the ending, and now it's on Din to find the pick. We know the last pick was a gamble. That one seemed to have worked out nicely, but when you look at what's left in the pool, there aren't really that many options left. You have, of course, that S7. I think you have the S9, and are those your only options? I believe so. It's going to be S9 for Din. I think this makes a lot of sense. Doesn't want to play S7, which is quite a bit, fairly aim heavy, I would say.
Big fan of S7 being a diff named 7.
That was intentional.
Just now noticed.
Yeah.
Alright. Pure gamble this time, he says. Well, it was a gamble last time and it worked out, so let's see if twice in a row. Aimbotcone saying another slider map. My brother in Christ, your top play is literally on a map called Slider. Kind of just, anyway. Also, wait, what?
This is an incredible short
S14
map.
is TH14. I don't know what that means. That's a Toho thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's Toho 14, whatever Toho 14 means. I know they said this in Showcase too. I didn't understand it then either, but guys, this map is so incredibly short. Blink and it will be over. It's 1 minute and 50 seconds. We do see some very big early accuracy drops from aimbotcone, already down by 2%, but Din is going to trade some accuracy back, making it about 1.5% now. As Din finds yet another miss, it's going to make this accuracy even closer. Both players hitting that stream, and we're already almost halfway through the map, and Din is holding on by 1%, but aimbotcone finds yet another 100, traded back by Din. That's a few slider breaks from Din, gonna give aimbotcone the lead.
Yeah, those hundreds and the slider break from Din really starting to add up a little bit here. The accuracy lead. Oh, and there's a chain miss from Din. That was a 1% act drop. And once again, it seems like he may have written himself out of this story, but aimbotcone has to hold on. We saw what happened on the last pick where he did not do so at the ending. He has to do so here to close out the match. It's a break from aimbotcone. Still, though, going to hold okay. He's got a 1.5% accuracy lead coming into the last moments of the map. This is going to be desperate times, desperate measures here as Din tries to outlast him, but a chain miss, and that's going to be it. The chain miss from Din. His fate is sealed, and aimbotcone is going to advance onward by 2% with a 6-4 final score.
Yeah, the potential was there for Din in the ending. aimbotcone found the chain miss that Din needed, but unfortunately that is going to be traded. It's such an incredibly tricky pattern, and a really impressive performance from both players. Some solid scores, solid accuracies, and in the end, aimbotcone is going to be the one to move on to the next round. Unfortunately for aimbotcone, it's going to have to play Window Life. That is going to be a very tricky matchup.
And Window Life has been playing very, very well lately. Took out a Colabed 6-4 last round. Looked pretty strong in a couple of their tournaments he was playing in as well. So that is going to be quite the matchup. Din against AKNZX. That is also, I think, a pretty interesting one. Just solid players. I don't know that I could pick, you know, a favorite in that particular matchup, but should be a good one down in losers bracket.
Yeah, I could definitely see that one coming down to the pooling. I think it's fair to say AKNZX probably has a bit of a higher skill cap, but Din, you know, on especially some of these earlier pools, it's just so good with the accuracy, so consistent on some of these faster picks. But I think that is going to be it for us. That was the final match of round of 16. We've got the quarterfinals pool showcase coming up for you guys in about 5 minutes. So we are going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will be right back with the pool showcase. I have been iFlame. Massive thank you to T1G for commentating with me today, and Flapsec for the stream. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and take care. Stay for the pool showcase.